It is 6:02. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We start off with roll call.
Alda Benavides, present.
Anthony Oresti, present.
Esmeralda Solis, present.
Nereida Cantu, present.
Mary Hernandez, present.
Roberto Zamora, present.
And Alex Cantu present. I do declare a quorum. Let's, item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to move out there. For some reason, there was some miscommunications with the agendas. Legal was just telling me. And public comments will go right after our Pledge of Allegiance, which we just did. So with that being said, Superintendent,
Yes, we have 5 people signed up for public comment. We can begin with Ms. Rocio Garza.
you can go to the podium, Ms. Garza.
No, Ms. Salinas.
Oh, Ms. Salinas, I'm sorry.
Chris.
A ver, do we have the
This is
right
not
person?
Mr. Garza.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes, it's going to be somebody else before you.
Oh, someone else before me?
Yes, yes.
That was received first.
Just see you first? Okay.
You're going to do this one.
Good afternoon. This time I wrote it down so that it won't prolong my needs. Thank you. Excuse me. Dear school board and community members, as a concerned citizen, I urge you to vote against the appealing of the findings of the TEA report. It's crucial that the TEA proceedings with the appointing the school board managers and to ensure proper governance procedures, informed financial decisions, and transparency for all stakeholders. I find it concerning that some school board members have suddenly changed their stance and now oppose the TEA recommendations. Pursuing an appeal will only prolong the rebuilding process, drain already limited budgets, and have a negative impact on student programs, teacher retention, and overall morale. In the past, I have implored you to reconsider the staff adjustment plan, and I appreciate your attention to that issue. However, appealing the TEA's recommendation will now result in significant financial cost for the district, inevitably leading to the reduction in force due to lack of funding. Our top priority should be the well-being of our students and our community. The TEA report is an essential step towards addressing the issue that has hindered our district. We cannot afford to continue down the path of mismanagement, disregarding for the needs of our students and our community. I strongly urge you to vote against appealing the TEA report and insist to focus on implementing the necessary changes to restore trust and ensure the success of our students. Thank you so much for your time and for your attention on this matter.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Appreciate it.
Next, Mr. President, Ms. Vanessa Brown.
Good evening, Ms. Brown. You have 3 minutes. And
Good evening.
your
Thank
time
you.
starts whenever you start.
I'd like to begin first by thanking the board and the interim superintendent for making the adjustment to the board agenda item. We did send an email to the school board and to Mr. Gonzalez and legal on Sunday requesting that this adjustment be made because you were out of compliance with TASB guidelines. I'll begin our statement now. As a professional organization of teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals, and retired educators, the La Jolla Association of Texas Professional Educators acknowledges this recent recommendation by the TEA special investigator administrator to take over our local school board after findings of governance shortcomings. We respect the authority of the Texas Education Agency to make decisions in the best interest of our school district and our students. As educators, our primary focus remains on providing a quality education for our students, leadership to staff, and support of our community, regardless of who is in charge of the school board. We will continue to work diligently to support our students and their families during this process. We also want to take this opportunity to reiterate our commitment to being an ally and a voice for our members, as well as making ourselves available for involvement in conversations and planning for district-wide committees engaged in the transition process. While change can be challenging, we hope that the Texas Education Agency's oversight will provide the necessary leadership to address the governance issues that have led to this investigation and subsequent findings. We believe that this is an opportunity for our school district to improve, grow, and become stronger. And we are committed to working collaboratively with the Texas Education Agency to achieve this goal. In summary, we remain focused to providing a quality education for our students and will work diligently with the agency to achieve this goal and support our members throughout this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. President, we have Ms. Cristina A. Salinas.
Good evening. I am here in support of the TEA investigation findings because I am concerned about the decisions made, such as the closing of the museum. To me, it is very important that in that museum we had tremendous amount of memorabilia from our past residents, from students, and all of the young people that have contributed to it. And as I walked in to go pick up the memorabilia that my husband and I had contributed, it was heartening to find that there were boxes and packages all over the place, of things that the community members had to go pick up. What's going to happen if those members do not pick up their items? Where are these things going to be stored? That bothered me a lot. And I believe that the museum is a symbol, a tremendous symbol of who we are, who the people before us were. And when I saw pictures of Gilberto Flores, one of my favorite English teachers, it being boxed, it really hurt me. So Gilberto Flores, no one is left of his family. Who's going to pick that up? So I would really advise, hopefully, that you will understand where I'm coming from, and that I really, really think that the museum is a historical building that represents our district. In less than 2 years from now, this school district will be 100 years old. And I have the documentation at home to prove when this was established by Nellie Shunier. So I leave you to think about the closing of the museum. And I don't think it's in the best interest of the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Point well taken.
Next, Mr. President, we have Noel Guerra.
Thank you, governing body, for your attention today. And I also want to thank you for your time on February of 2022. That day I exercised my parental responsibility by submitting concerns to the La Jolla ISD Board of Trustees. That day I emphasized to the governing body that they had a duty to give every child living in their district an equal chance. Since then, the criterion has not changed, and Juarez Lincoln High School students are still unable to meet program objectives due to unequal athletic opportunities. We visited with senior central office staff at Juarez Lincoln on February the 6th of this year and reiterated a number of grievances regarding the facilities, equipment, personnel, and safety standards. Since then, 7 emails have been sent to central office asking for a follow-up meeting to discuss an implementation plan. From these 7 emails, we have had only one response informing us that our issues are being addressed diligently. Due to the lack of urgency and transparency, we feel disrespected as involved parents who are fighting for the interest of all Husky students. Let's review some circumstances that have arisen this academic school year. Volleyball started with a parent coaching them. No coach was available. Basketball boys and girls are left with no gym to practice. Wrestling mats out of compliance and were forced to practice in the cafeteria where students are eating and athletes perspire. The weight room is a health hazard. Students were forced to lift weights in the hallway due to the weight room being a hazard. Baseball fans still have to bring lawn chairs to see their kids play. Bleachers that were provided as a patch don't pass safety codes. Flooding of the baseball field after rains. 6 out of 24 games were played at home this year. The pitching machine donated. A vehicle that was assigned to Juarez ended up at another campus, an expensive one. New baseball uniforms that arrived were damaged by rats. College career day was held outside in the sun. No gym. The cafeteria is overcrowded with students being forced to sit down on the floor to eat. Statistics show that 99.089% of students at Juarez Lincoln's are low-income families.
Mr. Guerra.
However, school was only given approval of $2,500 in student travel funds for a wrestling tournament that would last 3 days, while $4,000 was granted to another district school for a tournament that would last 2.
Mr. Guerra.
Central office has stated that they are working diligently to fix the concerns at Juarez Lincoln, but it is apparent that the needs of other campuses come first. A storm recently impacted an elementary school that is not zoned to Juarez Lincoln. Within 2 days, an emergency board meeting was held, complete with an action plan, received recognition, while on November the 5th, the gym at Juarez Lincoln was submerged with almost 4 inches of water. Although the board took action in 2 days for the elementary school, the matter of Juarez took 39 days to reach the agenda. The school board has made the board has made it apparent that concerns on other campuses are given priority.
Mr. Guerra, there's somebody waiting behind you, sir. Your time is up. Mr. Guerra, I appreciate your comment, but your time is up. There's somebody waiting behind you, sir. Please show them the respect that the people before you showed you, please.
Mr. Guerra, I hear your comments.
I'll come back and I'll finish by in the next.
Let me just tell you also.
But just for the record, I've seen all the board meetings, and other commentators are allotted more time, and to me that's fine.
No. You, hold on. I do want to explain something to you. I'm gonna talk, so you're gonna get an
And you
additional
know
3
what,
times.
I'll end it up, I'll
No,
end it up, sir.
I'm gonna give you an additional 2 more minutes, okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, we did the walkthroughs a couple of weeks ago because I understand your concerns. And you know what, I was a Husky myself. And it's sometimes, it's upsetting that we let things get as far as they do. I went to a baseball game, I went to a soccer game, and I saw what you're saying. And trust me, we're doing everything in our part to get it done quick. But yeah, you go ahead, you can go ahead.
Thank you for the 2 minutes. Just so, we have followed the chain of command procedures beginning with the principal to the superintendent. In this chain of command, we as parents feel that there has been no communication on any advancement for our children. We have been in constant communication with school officials and administrators at Juarez Lincoln, where they have been compliant when it comes down to higher ranking administrator. The communication is non-existent. We are here today representing the whole community of Juarez Lincoln because we only seek for it to receive the same treatment as other schools. La Joya ISD motto is educational excellence is the right of every student. We ask the school board to build on this motto and allow every student to have equal opportunities to achieve educational excellence. And that, the mission, the vision, we don't see it over there. And I'll close with that. Thank you for the extra time, sir.
And I appreciate your comment.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, we have Brenda Salinas.
Good evening, Ms. Salinas.
Good evening, and I'm not going to ask for additional time, so it's going to be short and to the point, Mr. President. So good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. President, School Board Trustees, Mr. Gonzalez, Administration, community members present, and our live stream audience. La Joya AFT does not believe that it is appropriate for Board President Alex Cantu to vote on whether to accept TA's recommendation sanctioned, which are based in part on allegations against Mr. Cantu, and it is on the 40-page TA Special Investigation Report. He therefore has a conflict of interest, and he should recuse himself from voting on this matter. La Joya AFT does not believe that it makes sense for you to fight TA's recommendation. We have also the community members that feel the same way. We've already heard several community members here. And welcome TEA. La Joya ISD is struggling financially, and we need every dollar at our disposal for educating our students, not fighting this battle. We urge the board to vote to accept the recommendations. The decision that you're going to make tonight will be in the best interest of our district. Public funds belong in the classroom to our teachers, to our students, to our school employees. So we thank you, and again, all eyes are on you. So I hope that tonight you make a decision that is going to benefit our district, because we believe in our students, and our students deserve the best. Once again, thank you.
Yes, they do.
There are no more.
There are no more comments. Then we're going to move on to item number 4, business and finance. But we're going to go ahead and go with item number 2 first, which is a discussion of action to approve expenditures for roofing to project buildings with the vendors from a purchasing cooperative for H. Henry B. Gonzalez Elementary Special Education Building, the NOC JFK Elementary, Lorenzo de Zavala Middle School, Irene Garcia Middle School, and La Joya ISD Lincoln Building as well. Mr. Garcia.
Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Gonzalez, members of the board, and our distinguished guests, community and administration. Before you, I bring this item, and it's just an action to approve expenditure of temporary roofing projects to the buildings that were affected by the 2 storms. So we're just recommending approval at this time. and we submitted a package just to give you a rough estimate as to how much the cost would be.
And yeah, it's in our red
Okay.
folder.
Mr.
I do
President and Mr. Gonzalez, I would just like to say that we have not received this information until this evening.
Yes, sir.
And just reading the report from TEA, it does bring out in allegation 1 that the Board of Trustees and administration failed to oversee the management of the school district and misused public resource funds, and mentions the concern over the job order contracts and the use of cooperatives and so forth. I would have wanted to have some additional time to review what you're submitting, prior to just getting it here this evening. So that's just my point here.
Point taken, Mr. President, members of the board, members of the community. I'm really, as an interim superintendent and someone who's new here as the academic leader and chief operator of the district, I don't want to politicize this comment. We can't politicize a storm that comes in the weekend, and we have hardworking staff that really dedicate their lives to the excellence of this district and our facilities. We do our very best, and as it is, we all know that La Jolla ISD is one of the most resilient and most excellent districts in Texas. That is the truth. Now, with that truth, no one is overseeing it, or we're not undermining our responsibility to present to this board information. But a huge storm comes in with 5-6 inches of rain, and we have to take immediate action. The law allows us to immediately avail ourselves of a co-op and immediately take action to save our campuses from greater damage. That is all that happened. Thus, our very responsible and diligent and excellent assistant superintendents prepared information for this board. We took action where we could be blamed for not taking action, but we were proactive, responsible in caring for our children and the facilities of this campus. That's all this is. We had a major storm come in, and we had to take action to present, procuring temporary roofing for the different campuses that were affected.
And
I understand
to add to
your-
that,
I understand
do
and
want to
accept
say,
your
also
comments.
like Mr. Guerra said, we can't drag our feet when it comes to stuff like this.
And I
We gotta make sure we move quickly, because the only people getting affected right now is our children. So I think our staff is very qualified to make sure that things are done appropriate. Given the fact that this majority started in December, not years ago. So we're gonna fix things, and we're gonna get them right. We just need to make sure that every decision made here is in the best interest of our kids and not make it political. With that being said, let me call a motion.
No, I have a question.
I want to call.
Mr. President, I just have a question on the pricing. Because I'm seeing on what we are approving is $510,218. But then where you have it as a layout in every campus, it says $661,000. So are we going to be short 150? We just approved the 500?
Remember, this is monies that will be recovered through the insurance claim. So it's something that we're temporarily going to borrow maybe from the general fund. And then once we do that claim, if you see on the agenda item that I provided, we were still missing the La Jolla High School and Lincoln building. And then that's why they're added here. So the first amount was right before I got the final quotes, because of the temporary covering that we did, for example, at the special education building was kind of like a tarp, a heavy duty tarp. But because those roofs at La Jolla High School, they're metal, so we couldn't do that tarp, because eventually with the second wind and the storm that we just had a couple of days ago, it was still going to tear. So that is why we are justifying, we have not touched those yet. So I'm bringing before you that I need approval to commence and go ahead and initiate those contracts.
So we're just going to do all of them except the La Jolla High School and the Lincoln building?
No, we're asking your permission for all of them. And
Yep,
now
but
we
the-
have the actual amount that it would cost to do. If you see on that third page, it would be $53,000 for La Jolla High School, the cafeteria roof, and Lincoln Building, gym 1 and 2, that would be $97,000.
Okay, so we are approving what? 661 right now?
Yes, ma'am.
The first page, just so we clarify, Mr. Garcia, the estimate was just an estimated cost, correct?
Yes.
And then you have the actual cost now.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
That's why there's a difference.
That just arrived right now, right before, and I met with legal to make sure I could be able to submit them to you all. So that's just a difference of the amount.
Okay.
Okay,
But again, all these monies will be reimbursed once we
with
do the insurance
right?
claim. Yes, sir.
Okay, we're making sure we're giving people an opportunity to work, not the same people all the time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I just want to emphasize on what Dr. Shimoda said. Yes, I do agree with you, the timing of it. I mean, we just received it, right? But at the same time, we have to ensure that our kids are going to a safe school. I mean, we couldn't predict that a storm was going to come mess up the roof on all these buildings. Now, Mr. Garcia just told us it's going to be an insurance claim. I mean, these are going to be reimbursable to insurance.
I understand those comments, but I do not want for it to be a practice that we don't get information until the time of the board meeting.
Understood. Yeah,
That's my point.
like I said, I agree with you with the
This
timing
is
part,
just
but I
temporary.
mean, I'm just want to make it clear that this is an insurance claim and it's not to be publicized as an expenditure that we're just doing all of a sudden because we had to. It was a storm that came through.
And it needs fixing. With that being said, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion, I need a second.
Second.
A second by Mr. Oresti. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries. All right, moving on back to item number 1, discussion and possible action on the TA Agency Special Investigation Final Report of La Joya ISD. Mr. Legal?
Good evening, Mr. President, trustees, administration, and guests. As you know, the Texas Education Agency initiated an investigation into the La Joya Independent School District around March 2022. During the investigation, several employees and trustees were interviewed, and thousands of documents were collected. According to the TEA investigators, who were quoted on January the 11th, 2023, the primary reason the Texas Education Agency decided to look at La Joya ISD was because of the unprecedented chain of events which occurred in our district. As you all know, the district has had 2 trustees and 3 administrators, Oscar Salinas, Armin Garza, Alex Guajardo, Jose Morin, and Rigo Lopez, plead guilty in federal court to various federal crimes involving public funds. A preliminary report was issued on February 28, 2023. The district filed its response on March 30th, 2023. Thereafter, TEA issued its final report in May of 2023. Attached to the report was a recorded statement from Alda Benavides. Alda Benavides served as La Joya Independent School District Superintendent through June 2019 and then as trustee since 2020. Ironically, the investigation was initiated in March 2022, but the pleas for intervention were not made until January 2023, after the November 22 elections. According to the final report, 2 board trustees and 3 administrators violated and pled guilty to state and federal charges. Their actions defrauded public funds intended for education. The report indicated that the board and administration provided the opportunities and avenues to carry out the fraudulent schemes. Specifically, the report cites actions taken in 2017 and 2019. TEA took further issue with the district's contract procurement process and requisite conflict of interest forms. Since TEA has issued its final report, the board must now decide whether to accept those findings or challenge the findings and recommendations. Primarily, our focus has been and will continue to be that the board and the district as a whole should not be held liable for the actions or inactions of a few individuals. Also, since the release of the Benavides tapes, a witness has made comments directly contradicting the testimony made the basis of the TEA decision.
Do we have those recordings? In the essence of transparency, I would like to hear them.
They participated in purchasing of the vehicles, and that was done when I was there, but they went around me. I was not included in any of the meetings. But luckily, I had loyal employees who would tell me this is what's going on and this is what. So
what would they tell you? Do you mind me asking?
like that we were going to get a whole bunch, and that was also something. It was easy to pass because it was a brand new fleet of cars, police cars, and a brand new fleet of maintenance trucks and things like that. So of course it was very supported, and but I was not included in those meetings, and so I thought I'd add that because the other companies I wasn't familiar with at all.
So if you weren't included in those meetings, who was making those decisions?
They included, for example, the director of maintenance, because he was, overseeing, and then the police chief, and then the.
I'm sorry. Can you put names to those?
The police chief was Mr. Raul Gonzalez, Chief Raul Gonzalez, Mr. Alfredo Vela, the CFO, Mr. Danny Garza, who was in charge of oversaw the maintenance department.
Yeah.
So.
Are those people still there? Do you know?
Mr. Vela is no longer there, and Danny is no longer there.
Okay.
The chief is still.
Mr. Gonzalez is, right? Chief Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
RGV Red Light, what did they do?
They participated in purchasing of the vehicles.
Okay.
And that was done when I was there, but they went around me. I was not included in any of the meetings.
Okay.
But luckily, I had loyal employees who would tell me this is what's going on and this is what. So
what would they tell you? Do you mind me asking?
Like that we were going to get a whole bunch, and that was also something. It was easy to pass because it was a brand new fleet of cars, police cars, and a brand new fleet of maintenance trucks and things like that. So of course it was very supported, and but I was not included in those meetings, and so I thought I'd add that because the other companies I wasn't familiar with.
Alda Benavides gave testimony to the state, and in doing that, she said that concerning RGV red light, that she was not involved in that. She mentioned that you were the one involved making decisions and having meetings behind her back and circumventing her, and she said that she was not involved in it. That the board had kind of made the decision, that you were the one having meetings.
So the contract, the RGB red light, he was a consultant, and they went to the superintendent's office. I had nothing to do with that.
So that's not an accurate statement on her part to say that you were the one making decisions and meetings around her back?
No, none but one.
Okay. Alda Benavides gave testimony to the state, and in doing that, she said that concerning RGB red light, that she was not involved in that. She mentioned that you were the one involved making decisions and having meetings behind her back and circumventing her. And she said that she was not involved in it. That the board had kind of made the decision, that you were the one having meetings.
So the contract, the RGB red light, he was a consultant, and they went to the superintendent's office. I had nothing to do with that.
So that's not an accurate statement on her part to say that you were the one making decisions and meetings around her back?
No, none but one.
Okay. Alda Benavides gave testimony to the state, and in doing that, she said that concerning RGB red light, that she...
Okay. Considering that this is an ongoing investigation and evidence is still being collected, and that the La Jolla Independent School District has repeatedly tried to work with TEA and has never tried to avoid its participation to a certain extent, I recommend a motion authorizing legal counsel to proceed as discussed and authorizing counsel John Scott and Don Huberty to proceed with any action necessary to seek TEA's reconsideration of its recommendations and decisions regarding the La Jolla Independent School District in the matters before the State Office of Administrative Hearings.
Before that's done, I would like an opportunity to respond. And my only response is going to be that just like the other companies were selected by the board, so was RGV Red Light. That's my comment, not in any way an accusation of Raul Gonzalez or anyone else that they selected the company. Just like the other companies were selected by the board, that's exactly the way this company was selected. And I would also like the opportunity to say that yes, Mr. Munoz, you stated that I was until June of 2019, and that is correct. But the board at that time, in a 6-1 vote, I was voted out because they told me that they wanted to go in another direction, and it was another direction. I had voiced openly being against PSI.
So why didn't you make the outcry then?
And I knew that the move was to approve PSI Phase 2. I opposed PSI Phase 1, and that was $11 million. I thought that was too much money. Openly in a meeting, I stated that it would be good for us to try a few campuses before we tried. Members of the audience, you are supposed to give respect, and Mr. President, you are supposed to maintain that.
Guys.
And
can you please?
No.
I need you all to keep down, please.
No, it's only fair because I am being named there, and I can defend every statement that I made. In February of 2019, I was told that the district wanted to go in another direction, and indeed it did. As soon as I was let go, in June of 2019, Phase 2 was approved, and that was $37 or $38 million. So I was opposed to that. If I was opposed to the 11 million, certainly I was opposed to the 37 million. So to take that statement that RGV Red Light, that they were having meetings, I was not included in the meetings. But they, the employees, Mr. Vela, Mr. Garza, and Chief Gonzalez, did not select that company. The ones that selected the company were the Board of Trustees. And if anyone knows the board operating procedures, it takes 2 board members to put something on the agenda. That's all it takes. And we, as of now, have not changed the board operating procedures.
With that being said, I do also want to say that I personally have never been part till recently of an agenda review. When SP Ochoa was board president, I asked because I wanted to learn how things got into an agenda. And ironically, they told me that I could not be part of an agenda review. So that was very unfair to me, and it's been very unfair since 2016. Now it's December, I became president. Thank you for the confidence. And you know what? I was the one that said, let's bring in TEA. I made the recommendation, we made the recommendation to legal, and I said, let's move forward with it. I don't see anything wrong whether we can work together. If there's things that we can do on our end to change things that went wrong, let's fix them. But I'm not opposed, or nobody I don't think here is opposed to working with TEA. I just think that at this point, we were here, and I see a lot of familiar faces in the community, and we take pride too. I went to school here. I'm a graduate of La Jolla. I'm a proud graduate of La Jolla, and I think the people here elected us to represent them. So we need to do it, and we need to do it right, and I think we are the fighting chance that the district needs in order to make sure that we fulfill the needs of our kids. And you know what? At the end of the day, we need to leave politics aside and get to work. This needs to stop.
Mr. Munoz, I would like to ask a question of Mr. Munoz. Mr. Munoz, is this case still under investigation?
What case, Dr.
The one that you're referring to?
The TEA.
The RGV red light.
I couldn't give you any information regarding any investigation, Dr. Zamora.
You're aware that there is an investigation?
I can't give you any information regarding any investigation, Dr. Zamora.
I'm just wondering because any time that we have any case under investigation, that is confidential information. And I'm just wondering the purpose for why this was presented. I mean, I know what's there. To this day, I'm going to say here, I have not received the report from our superintendent. Neither has Mary nor Dr. B. I know that there are exhibits and that there are tapes that you're referring to, but we have no access to them. And I don't know why it is and who that information has been made available to.
It's open to
and
the public.
Why.
It's open to the public.
I know that it is open to the public. I understand that. But I think that we're making a case here for keeping TEA out. But I really feel that the more I listen to what's going on here, the more I feel like it's a reason for TEA to come in and do something about it. I just don't think as much as
Dr. Zamora,
I think that this is a perfect, what is going on here right now is a perfect example of politicizing the matter.
Zamora, I would like to add a little bit to what you're just saying. I understand your concerns and I understand what you're saying. However, being a newly elected board member myself, I came in and we came in to something that was inherited. There was a lot of issues and a lot of things going on in this community and in our district. And I feel it because La Jolla ISD blood runs through my veins. I am a proud La Jolla ISD graduate and I will fight for this district. And that is the reason why I decided to run and why I became a public office in order to do that. And we are not discouraging TEA to come in and help us and guide us in our governance and what we need to do to make sure that this district rises to where it should be and where it should have never gone to. Because that was one of the reasons that I ran on this election, and to be elected by the community to do that one thing and to make sure that our district shines. Now, I see a lot of the public comments coming in, and I've seen them since I came in November. And my question, because I'm a member of the community as well, and I have been here all this time. My children graduated from here. I did. All of my family graduated from La Jolla ISD. And what I need to say is that when all of these things were going on in our district, which was very shameful to our district, where was everybody in public comments? Because I do not recall anybody coming in to speak of any of those comments when all of these things were going on. And this has been a snowball effect that has impacted our district. And I will be darned if I will not fight to make sure that what needs to get done gets done and that our district shines the way it should be shining. I am not talking about politics. This has nothing to do with politics. This has to do that we need to focus, we need to set things aside, and we need to get the job done. And we need to do that for the best interest of our children in our community and our district. And that's all I have to say. I encourage TA to come in. Not in this capacity, because I don't agree to that. I don't agree. Why? Because the community has placed us in this position. And we have not been given the opportunity to be able to show what we can do to make sure that this district shines for the betterment of our children. And that's all I have to say.
Prior to us receiving this letter, this final report on the investigation, the word from administration and the word from attorneys was that the best case scenario was for us to get a conservatory, that this was really a very serious situation, and that we were going to try every which way to keep a board of managers from coming in. But we all knew it. We all knew. You knew it. But then are we politicizing this also? I mean, I've lived here all my life, and I've never seen it this way. And I don't think that us saying that we're not going to be political, I have not seen any evidences of that. I haven't. And I can point to decisions that were made beginning in November to now.
All I can tell you,
And
Dr.
it is
Zamora,
political.
all I can tell you, Dr. Zamora, is that fortunately, I've been with this district going on 17 years. 17 years I've been sitting at this table. And in 17 years, we've had our fair share of conflicts with not only local, but state and federal agencies. And every time La Joya ISD comes out on top. The district has had no less than 5 trustees in its history. Going back, you can name them, have had 5 trustees get in trouble with the law. And ironically, the pleas for intervention did not happen until after the November 22 elections.
Well,
Mr. Munoz,
History speaks for itself, Dr.
legislation.
That's all I can tell you as far as
Yeah.
investigations. That's all I can tell you, that history that I know.
I know, but legislation does not mean
May I have the floor,
requirements.
please?
And for
You
sanctions.
already had the floor twice. Give me a chance, please. Please.
All right, I'll follow.
I have full respect for you, and I'm gonna talk to you about respect right now. And honestly, I have respect for everybody on this board. I spent the beginning of this week, I took time off of my job to go to Austin and visit everybody. And honestly, all I could say was good things about our district and about this board. I think this board is probably one of the most qualified boards in all of Texas. We have 3 PhDs in education. I'm a former educator with a master's in education, 2 ex-superintendents. And I honestly, I really think that this board is one of the best. But Mr. Munoz, before I start my statement, when was Alda Benavides' testimony made?
January 2023.
So 3 months after we were elected in November?
2 months.
2 months? Okay. And that's the reason I'm asking, right? We were sworn in on November 18th. Dave Hendricks is there. Dave will tell you, by December 15th, we asked for TEA to come because we needed help. We needed help. But it is unfair to the community and to the public to disagree with what the community elected. They elected us by November. By January, we had a board member saying, take over because it's not fair. Because the majority's not there. That is not fair. What is not fair is that we didn't ask for TEA intervention when we bought the water park. We didn't ask for TEA intervention when we bought the golf course. We didn't ask for TEA intervention when we had board members convicted. But all of a sudden, that the majority changes, then all of a sudden, you know what, come take over. That is not fair to our community. That is not fair. And with that being said, again, by December 15th, we welcomed TEA to come. And we wanted intervention. We wanted some kind of help because although this is the most qualified board, and honestly, I'll do respect to everybody on here because I have so much respect, but because we're all elected by the community. We all need to get together and make sure that one, we are always keeping the district in positive light because we have failed to. We're separated, we're all over the place because we can't keep the district in a positive light. And all we need to do is keep it in a positive light. And secondly, I heard something about cost earlier in the public comments. I understand that. I'm here to advocate for that as well. I think that we should be effective, efficient, but keep all of our solutions local. Because our community doesn't deserve somebody from TA to come down here and tell us what to do. Because we were elected by our community. And we have to respect that, right? Dr. Shimoda, you're also elected and people voted for you the same way they voted for me. You have your public and I have my public, and we have to respect everybody's community, right? But again, as a board, and I'm speaking for everybody, we have to keep La Joya ISD in the most positive light because that is our job, and that is our job to love our students the way Mr. Gonzalez says every day. We love our students and we're here to fight for our students because we're going to fight for effective, efficient, and local solutions. Thank you.
Well, since everyone has had the opportunity to say why they ran, I'm going to say why I ran. And I ran exactly what I said the other day. It's because of some of the decisions that were being made. And as a superintendent, I could not control that, but I hoped that as a board member I could. And if I was in the minority right now, if I was in the majority right now, I would still approve for the Texas Education Agency to come and help us in whatever capacity they feel they need to help us.
Well, I mean, honestly,
We want TA.
we
Well, I
in
would
whatever
like to say
capacity
something.
they believe is necessary. That is precisely why I ran, because many decisions that were being made were not good decisions. And even now, like Dr. Zamora, and I don't want to illustrate any decisions publicly, but I can, of some decisions that have been made that are still political. And if we really are going to be committed to our children and committed to this community, we definitely, what you just said is exactly what we need to do, but it's not being done, and you know it.
Dr. Benavides.
is that
I'd like to say something. With all due respect, I ran for the same reasons. But when you ran, you won in 2020. You were in a majority to start making these changes since then, to start inviting TEA. I was not. And so that's why you ran. Let me tell you why I ran for re-election. I was in a minority for most of the years since I got in there, after, I think immediately right after you left the district. And I feel just like Esmer, just like Anthony, just like yourself, I am a La Jolla graduate as well. My children are here. I am proud of where I am. I was in Austin as well before this final report came in, still fighting, defending decisions that I did not make, defending the water park, defending, even though that's one of the reasons I am here too. I was opposed to those decisions when I wasn't on there. And so I want to clarify to our community, this is not, we're not opposing TA to come. Hey, we welcome them. I want them to come because I want them to help us and work collaboratively with all of us to fix the wrongdoings, to help us. What I am opposed to is a complete takeover because, like Esmer said, this is, La Jolla is the beacon of light for many, and it is for me, and it is for my family, and I will stand here to defend this district with anybody by my side. I welcome anybody by my side to help me do that. But I will not just stand down and say, hey, take over, I'm not doing anything. I gotta do something for my district, and that's why I oppose that they come in. I want them to work with me and not against us.
And I hope, I'm not going to illustrate the example, but I know that at one time I voted with you and with Alex and against the guys because I was and continue to try to make the decisions that are best for our kids.
Exactly.
I
It
didn't
should
go
not matter, but
because I was on the majority. I didn't stick with them for some of the decisions that they made.
So then why don't you vote with us now? If that was a good decision you made back then, why don't you stand up and say, you know what, vote for them now. Give them a chance. Give this majority a chance.
Because I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to use one example, and that's the only one, and that's all I'm going to say. The staff adjustment plan became political. There was people on the list, and I can tell you who they are, that the positions were going to be closed, and I'll admit, those positions were created when I was here because board members wanted those positions. A lot of those, some people,
Are those positions that were created?
Some, yes, some positions, yes, they were created. And I supported Dr. Science because they needed to be removed. They needed to be closed. And I was in agreement until the list changed and they came to us with some people protected and others not protected. And that's the reason here at one of the board meetings on January the 12th, I voted against that staff adjustment plan. And I told you all why I did that. I did that because that list became political, and it should have never become political. If we are here to do the right thing, then we should have gone with the recommendations that were made and closed all the positions that needed to be closed. And I can tell you, I can give you names of positions. I'm not going to do that because of the people that are in those positions out of respect for them, but many were saved, and you know who they are, and many were added to the list that were never on the list. And so if we're saying that we're going to do the right thing for this district, we needed to have started with the staff adjustment plan.
The staff adjustment plan, let's just be honest about it. That started with when Dr. Science was here, when you all had the majority, and Ms. Ayala was the HR director that you started that plan.
We never worked on it.
We never worked on it. So then, you didn't?
No.
You never worked on it?
No.
Wow.
I understand that you are saying out in the community that.
So who was making those recommendations?
I did not work on it. They worked on it.
So,
They met. I
okay.
did not work on it.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, order.
I don't think there's anyone here that will argue against knowing in this district, if you've lived here for some time, that the political culture is such that employment of people comes out top all the time. Who you vote for, who's gone in what positions, that is going on. And that's what you're referring to right here. In this report, I don't know if it's said that way, but the political culture here in this district is such that it has to change. It has to change.
We're going to change.
Because when you were running this time around, I remember promises made that when we come in, what you've seen in the past about people being moved, that will not happen with us. Well, guess what? It has been happening. It has been happening. Don't look like you don't know that is true. But the political culture. But let me just remind you what this report says here is the final report addresses only the allegations herein, which are allegations 1 and 2. Allegations 3, as noted above, has not been addressed. The findings, just to point out that there's still more to come. The findings may not address all allegations raised before, during, or after the investigation. Additional investigative work may be conducted to address any remaining allegations. Furthermore, other TEA divisions may be in the process of investigating La Joya ISD. These divisions may issue additional investigative reports. And I think that we have to take a step back and say, it's time. It's time. When we have a board of managers is not going to be somebody that is sent from somewhere else. The majority of the board of managers will be people from within the district that perhaps will think differently than what has been going on. But one of the things that we have to make sure of, because this is true, there's an informal organization here. ¿Con quién hablo? ¿Con quién conecto? Who am I going to connect? Because those people, you put them out there so that you can call them and you can have the say-so.
We saw that, and that's why things are going to change now. Just give us an opportunity.
I've been hearing that for ages, sir.
I understand, but now there's a different leadership, Mr. Chamora.
Different leadership hasn't shown difference.
With that being said, can you read the motion again, please?
The recommended motion authorizing legal counsel to proceed as discussed and authorizing Counsel John Scott and Don Huberty to proceed with any action necessary to seek TEA's reconsideration of its recommendations and decisions regarding La Joya Independent School District in the matters before the State Office of Administrative Hearings.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Solis. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Odesti. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Nay.
those opposed?
I vote
No.
Dr. Alda Benavides, Robert Zamora,
And myself.
and Mary Hernandez Bono. Motion passes. Now, with that being said, we're not going to go into executive session. I decided we were going to do this all in public for the essence of transparency.
And I do thank you for that, Mr. President.
And then we have the business and finance, letter D, that's it, right?
Just a motion to-
With that being said, guys, let's work together. We need to stop this. Let's unite for the common well-being of our kids. This needs to, if we all put our foot down and say, you know what, enough is enough, things will start changing. The culture will start changing at La Joya ISD, and that's what we want, guys. So with that being said,
Mr. Cantu, there was a comment.
I got you.
There was a public comment regarding conflicts of interest.
Mr.
With
Gonzalez.
that being said, it's 7:01. I need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Gonzalez, I'll make the motion to adjourn, but before we do, if at our next meeting we could bring an update on what is Lincoln and what has been done for them, please.
Okay, we'll do that. I need a motion to
Motion
adjourn.
to adjourn, so moved.
I have a motion by Dr. Benavides. Any second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Esti. It's 7:02. Meeting adjourned.